my politics are like, if you were, I'm like a Chicago liberal, but the way things have gone, especially with like the woke stuff, is where I end up in this position, and so does my neighborhood. I think it's interesting to see my neighborhood reflective of my politics and vice versa.
I think the phrase I was using last year was aggressively non-common sense or uncommonsensical. And it's like I accent aggressively. I don't think the woke people who have the vast amount of energy really in the Democratic Party understand why the people vote against them. And it's like, because if you add up like how many people are really affected by some of the aggressively uncommon sense things, it's probably not that many.
You had a great bit on that.
Yeah.
Why are you pandering to 400 people?
Of course. Okay. But when you add up these things, and, you know, men competing in women's sports, and, like, just too much indoctrination of children with sexual ideas that they're too young to understand. Like, when you add up all these things that get in the media a lot, it paints a picture, not a wrong picture, in the mind of the average voter that, yeah, maybe policy-wise I would do better under the Democrats or Bernie Sanders, but these other people just seem fucking crazy. They seem like committed to just going to absurd lengths just for shits and giggles, just for the fuck of it, just this bizarre attachment to things that are just ridiculous.
I think it's to hate the other side.
It is.
Yeah.
And that's certainly what the other side does. They call it making you cry your liberal tears.
Right.
The entire policy, well, not always now. There are some things that have different motivations. You know, I know you're involved with the tariff debate because, you know, that works both ways. Sometimes free trade does hurt people, and that's why there are tariffs. Trump is not the first person to advocate tariffs. He's just the first person to do it in this kind of crazy, haphazard way.
Right, I agree. I think that, you know, when he announced selective tariffs, I was like, all right, let's go. Then when he announced universal tariffs, I was like, I don't know if that makes sense. What is he doing? And I'm, you know, but I'm not in. I think one of the problems that we've seen over the past several years with Trump is the immediate assumption that that he's a crazy person all the time. And so the only thing I can say is, well, you know, I vote for the guy. I think this is probably doesn't make sense to me, but I'll see what happens, and we'll see if it makes sense. Selective tariffs, I think, do make sense. But I do think that the way the Democratic Party has handled opposition has guaranteed the kind of Trumpian politics.
Well, I'm sure you heard about my little trip to the White House.
Absolutely.
And
very much.
Thank you. And the thing that upset the far left so much, these same people who believe in the crazy things I was just mentioning, and the ones who really hate me, they really found it a reason to hate me because when I came back and gave them a report about it, you know, among the things I said, to your point about everything is he crazy, was, I think, word for word, a crazy person doesn't live in the White House. A person who plays a crazy person on TV lives in the White House.
Yeah.
And they found that very triggering. But again, as I said many times during that piece, I'm just going to tell you the truth. I didn't vote for him. I think we all know that. I went right back to being as tough on him as I ever had been. So I wasn't like seduced, but that was my estimation. Again, to your point about, is he just crazy? When you meet him in person and spend that kind of time, and he's not on his, like, his attack mode thing, he does not strike you as a crazy person, or a person who doesn't listen or can't hear things. Again, they were very mad at me for saying this, but that's what happened. And I am not a liar. That's my main bond with the audience. So even if I offended some people by telling the truth, in the long run, that's what I do. And they, yeah.
What I saw in 2020, I was not going to vote for Trump. I'll never vote for Trump on election. And I donated the max to Andrew Yang and Tulsi Gabbard. And my position, my whole thought process was the Democrats are going crazy, and we need the moderate, sane Democrats to maintain control of this party and stop the insanity.
Correct.
And they lost.
And they lost.
And so then Trump put out his statement in around August saying, we're going to ban DEI in government contracting. We're going to do these things, blah, blah, blah. No new wars was big for me. I'm a very, anti-interventionist for a lot of reasons. And so I said, I guess I'm voting for Trump. Instantly, it was like the liberals, even YouTube, they all said, we're going to move your name over to this list.